Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Laketown podcast. My name is Matthew Wuollet.
And I'm Rick Seagraves. We have Josh Grangroth and Josh Lease from Chartered. They have many different avenues of Chartered. There's rentals, vacations, marine, several different ways you can look at. But we have these gentlemen here today, and they're going to let us know a little bit more about it. How you guys doing today?
Oh, we're doing great here.
Yeah, great as well.
So fill us in a little bit on what you do, how you do, and where.
Because it's kind of everything.
Yep, a little bit of everything.
Everything and everywhere.
Kind of multi-location, different states, different places. So
Sure. Yeah. So we've got three businesses that we work with. They each have part of the year to fill in seasonally. So we've got in the wintertime, this time of the year, our main part of the business is our Florida Keys business, and then also doing cabin rentals here in Annandale too. So for ice fishing and winter activities. But yeah, and then Josh is also working on the charter marine side of things right now too, so I can let him fill in a little bit on that.
Yeah, so Charter Marine, we focus on transports as well as winterizations and services. Just kind of light services. We're not a dealership by any means, but as well as canopy cleaning and just kind of some light duty stuff.
to those who may not be on a lake or be super duper familiar with lakes, transport meaning removing them from the lake and bring them in for winterization, storage, etc.
Yeah, correct.
And one thing that you mentioned that I have actually never heard of anybody doing is canopy cleaning.
Yeah, so that's something that we started last year, and we were able to bring it in and have a clean floor in our shop. We pressure wash them off, treat them, because a lot of the covers that we see that we're cleaning are either moldy or they've got like bird debris or cobwebs.
Bird debris.
I was thinking that was a nice polite way of putting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is we treat it with environmentally friendly products, such as like Simple Green on some, and it kind of depends on the canvas material or the cover material, because some chemicals and products can react differently. So just got to be careful. Vinyl covers or the fabric. So we take those, treat them, and clean them off. So yeah, it's going good.
Nice.
That price ranges from usually like $125 to $250. So pretty affordable as far as that goes, because a lot of people aren't going to be able to do that themselves.
It's one of those things like, and it's always fun finding those people that find those interesting little, like,
Little niche.
Like never thought, like, who'd have thought? There's
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never heard of it. So we've been on a lake for 4 years. I've been, when I was in high school, I worked at Annandale Marine, which is no longer there. But even at that point, from then until now, I've never heard of anybody offering a service of cleaning your canopy, which I think it's a unique thing to even come to the top of your head and say, hey, we can maybe make some money with that.
Well, and that after we clean them, we have an option to waterproof them as well. So a lot of these covers are fabric now. And so we clean them, dry them off because we hang them up from the ceiling. And then we're able to waterproof them with the waterproofing chemicals.
I suppose that makes it easier to keep it clean as well.
Yeah, and then it kind of washes itself over the summer. Keeps them.
Very cool.
It just extends the life because those canopies can be $5,000 to $6,000. So
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of time they're getting rolled up. Sometimes it may be raining the day when we're pulling canopy covers. So it's nice to roll them out in the shop that's heated, clean them, hang them, dry them. It takes a lot of space. I mean, some of these canopy covers are 40 foot long.
Holy buckets.
And 20 foot wide, so they're pretty big. So
Big boat, big cover.
Bigger than a lot of garages.
yeah, yeah.
So you've got the chartered rental home stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we got so in the what feeds us year round is in the summertime we've got our the cabin rentals, and then we have our boat rentals that we do, and jet skis, and then we transition into the fall time with boat transports and storage and whatnot, and then our Florida Keys operation kind of feeds us year round. So we take turns going down to the Keys, and Josh is the manager.
I was just thinking that sounds like a terrible,
Yeah,
terrible
All right,
adventure.
it's your turn. You got to go down to the Keys.
Yeah, and we're really trying to, to get more Midwest folks to go down there.
Well, I'll volunteer to go down there and help you guys run it.
we'll tag along.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've added some new items to our charters down there, like lobstering, and then spearfishing charters too. So
Spearfishing sounds fun.
it is. It's pretty amazing. I mean, we've had some pretty cool situations. You know, I've been with hammerhead sharks swimming in the water. You know, or spearfishing. All of a sudden, you turn around and boom, you got a big hammerhead shark just 5 feet from you, just kind of staring you down, and he's just checking things out. You know, kind of curious, and swims off and minds his own business.
Are they pretty harmless?
Yeah, for the most part, you know. I mean, it's if anything, you know, they're just coming to steal your fish. You know,
I'm going to assume as a self defense, the harpoon that you have likely kind of turns that direction just in case.
Yeah. So you put the spear between you and the shark,
Yeah.
and you know, if he comes in, just poke at him. You know, usually it'll deter him a little bit. So, but otherwise, I mean, it's a blast. You know, we just had a crew from here in Minnesota was just down Monday. They fished Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They're heading back today, but yeah, they had, you know, a construction crew. He took some of his employees down there, and they had a great time. They can't wait to get back. So, but yeah,
I believe you did some, if I remember correctly, some island hopping per se, where there's sandbars that you will bring people out to just to go have a day out on the water.
Yep. Yeah, we do sandbar trips, snorkeling trips. The Florida Keys, you've got the third largest barrier reef that runs along the Keys. So it's awesome, amazing snorkeling. When you get calm weather, you got, you know, 100-foot visibility. It's just like you're swimming in a giant pool with thousands of fish and
Sea turtles. And
yeah.
it's pretty great.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So no, when you started going down there, obviously, I mean, you're from here. How did you partner with like local guides down there, or how did you start getting into down there?
It was about a 5-year a goal. So we started about 5 years ago. Then the pandemic kind of delayed things, and but just we were looking for an avenue where we could, you know, have revenue to have employees year round, and you know, that was, you know, something that we've always wanted to do, and we just started working at it. We started up by the Venice area and up by Bradenton and Anna Maria Island, and then the pandemic hit, and then it kind of delayed things. And then after the pandemic, we went back down there on a vacation to the Keys, my wife and I and the family, and just fell in love with it.
So how did you learn like all the spots to go? Just doing it yourself?
I could take a
Trial and error.
guess. I could take a guess. I'm going to say you probably paid for a couple of charters and marked your spots on your phone.
No, I did a couple boat rentals with a local rental shop down there, a guy who's actually from Minnesota too, and then things just started to click there. So we did 3 trips, rented a boat 3 times, and then we started off 6 months later. We shipped a bunch of jet skis down there and got things going with the jet skis, and then found a resort. It took a couple months, actually probably about 6 months, you know, to find a resort to work with. Then we actually moved into a new resort that actually is pretty cool. It's on a small little 80-acre island. It's got a little sandy beach on there. It's an RV resort and marina. It's right next to Bahia Honda State Park. So you go across the 7-mile bridge, and then boom, we're right there on the right. And I mean, it's just amazing. The water and the Key West blue water down there. So.
No, I've been down there. It's a pretty cool spot. Like we were there I think it was 2 winters ago, if I remember correctly, and we were going to stay in Miami, and my wife had a fantastic idea of this. Hey, why don't we just go drive down to the Key West one? So I'm like, all right, that's fine. Did not realize how far of a drive that really was.
I've heard it's long.
But it is nothing but just panoramic scenery of every kind of blue color you could ever imagine in the water in the same trip. So it was really, really cool to see. Just don't get stuck behind one dumb driver, because that's all it takes.
I have heard that yeah, especially on the bridge, you get a slow driver.
Yeah.
That's
Fun fact about the 7-mile bridge is I was just telling him this morning that so right next to our location, Jimmy Buffett got stuck right at the end in traffic, and he wrote Margaritaville, which kind of
really
took his whole career. And
Nice.
yeah, so
when somebody travels down there, or like yourselves, where do you usually fly into and get to where you're at?
So I'll usually fly into Miami or Key West. So, you know, if I'm trying to be on a budget, you know, Miami's, you know, the airfare is about 2/3 cheaper. So, you know, you can get tickets into Key West for about a round trip for like $600. But usually you got to lay over somewhere. So I rather sometimes in the wintertime, especially, I'd rather fly direct into Miami, not having a layover somewhere else, because if we get held up de-icing the plane at MSP, you know, it can mess up your layover if you only got an hour layover in another city. But otherwise, it's Miami's nice, you know, driving across the bridges and the over the seas highway.
Yeah, I think that's something everybody should experience once.
Yep.
If not twice, but for sure once.
Yep. So
another option for flying is going out of St. Cloud and flying into Punta Gorda.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind the drive from Punta Gorda down there. You
How long of a drive is it?
Like
and is there a
4
puddle
to 5
jumper
hours?
option to go from Punta Gorda to Key West? Or
Actually,
to
Probably
Keys?
marathon.
there is actually. So there is, you know, you could fly into Fort Myers and you could actually take the Key West, the ferry that runs from
I think there was some ferries too.
Fort Myers to Key West. It's like, I think 2.5, 3 hours long.
I mean, if you really want an adventure, there you go. But the cool part is, if nobody's ever flown out of St. Cloud, we did it last year. It is the fastest, easiest
great.
possible way of getting onto a plane ever. Like from parking your car in the parking lot to through the gate, waiting for your plane to board was, I think, 10 minutes.
Yeah, and everyone that's going through security and everyone you're sitting with is going on the same plane.
Yep,
you're going on.
yep. They have
great.
2 gates, I think, here, and I don't know about in Florida, but we flew down to Mesa last year, and I think they have 6 gates in Mesa, so it's like really, really small. And then when you get to the car rental spots, there's nobody in line ever. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. So you got a lot of stuff going down south, but Annandale's keeping you pretty busy, right?
Yep. Yeah. Annandale's keeping us busy. So right now we're working on reservations for the cabin rentals for summertime, and working on getting some reservations for this winter for ice fishing, which the lakes are starting to freeze up slowly, but surely it's coming. So,
So now fish houses, how long you been doing that?
well, we actually we sold our guided or our charter, basically the ice fishing operation. We sold that. I did that for like 8 years, and then we reinvested in Florida.
Oh,
So we do have there are other outfitters that we can help guests with who are staying at cabins if they want an ice house.
and that's what you're lining up right now?
Yeah, you know, not so much, but you know, that option is available.
So you're saying that you invested in fish houses to be on the ice, and then you had this brainchild of selling that to invest in Florida?
Yeah, pretty much.
Come on, that's genius.
Yeah, I mean, you do the math, and I mean the excitement. You know, I do this because you know, the enjoyment that I see families get. You know, out catching fish and sharing these experiences with others. You know, it's all about selling an experience now, and it's just, you know, it's pretty amazing. You know, I used to run a snow bear track machine, taking people ice fishing and whatnot. But I mean, there's a lot of maintenance, you know, and breaking down out on a frozen lake and negative 30 degrees, and you got
It's a lot different than
Got a
breaking
family
down.
out there, and they're all like, okay, now what?
So
It's a lot different to break down on a tropical island out in the middle of Florida Keys, though.
yeah,
A little bit more enjoyable than 30 below and hoping you make it through the rest of the day.
yeah. So
Well, in renting fish houses too, you ran into an issue with, you know, setting everything up for customers, and they don't catch any fish, so then they're upset, and so you're not necessarily a guide, but you're just providing the fish house. But
They expect you to
high
be the guide.
expectations.
Yeah.
Yes. So
One, I'm assuming when you're ocean fishing, if you're not catching fish, you pull anchor and go somewhere else.
exactly.
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot,
And
a lot easier to
we've
do.
we've got 2 captains and 2 jet ski guys now, but the captains have lived out there for a while, so they've got these hot spots. So they're, you know, I've been out with them a couple times, and I even made it a couple times with some families, and we'd go out and we'd catch a few. He's like, all right, let's go to this spot, and then we go catch a different species of fish and do pretty well. And they kind of, you know, the school of fish leaves, and we go hit another spot. So it's
So what's the most popular species of fish that most customers are looking to catch when you're down there?
I'd say, you know, it depends. I mean, we do offshore trips, and then we do reef trips. You know, on the reef, you're going to be catching yellowtail snapper, mangrove snapper, grouper. You'll also get mackerel and lane snapper. Just there's so many different snapper species of fish. But, you know, the reef, we fish the reef for, you know, if you want numbers, if you want to catch 100 fish in a day or 100 plus fish, you know, we fish the reef. If you want to get into mahi, you know, tuna, blackfin tuna, we go offshore. So, or wahoo, you know, trolling the reef in the morning for wahoos, you know, 150 feet of water. The cool thing about the Florida Keys is you don't have to go out that far to get into deep water. You know, you go out, 5-6 miles, and you're hitting a couple 100 feet of water. You get out 15 to 20 miles, you're hitting 600 to 1,000 feet of water.
I could imagine getting a fish off 1,000 foot of the bottom. I mean, that would take all day.
Yeah, we do have a rod set up for deep dropping too, for swordfish and whatnot, and for snowy grouper, which they're down there in 600 feet of water. So electric reel. I mean, we put about 8 pounds of weight on there and drop it down to the bottom, and
I can imagine the magnitude of that. And you said electric reel?
yeah.
So you don't make somebody work for it, and they just push a button?
No, I mean just checking your bait with pulling an 8-pound weight up in 1,000 feet of water. That you're tired out.
Oh, I'm sure. Sure.
When we went trolling for Wahoo that day, how fast were we going? It was like 12 miles an hour.
Yeah, we'll troll. You can
you're
troll
cruising.
up to Wahoo at
It's fast,
up to
yeah.
15 knots. So.
We're making a wake behind the boat. It's like around here we troll at what, 1?
Yeah.
Yeah,
two and a
half a
half,
mile an hour for walleye.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what got the whole business started back in the day?
Gosh,
Because what year did you
that's
start?
a good question. So, I was back in the day. I was working on my dad's dairy farm full time and started having kids and trying to find other avenues to bring in extra income. So I started renting some ice houses out. I think the first winter I rented ice houses, I had 3 rentals. That was the first year.
Like
so,
3 customers or
three
fishes?
three customers.
Mm-hmm.
3 customers. So I was,
We
kind
gotta
of wondering
start
what I'm
somewhere.
doing. I'm like,
Got to start somewhere.
All right, that didn't work out.
had a $1,500 investment. My wife's, what are you doing? She's not. But yeah, that's where it started. So, but yeah, and here we are now. So.
What year was that? 2010 or before
Gosh, it was probably before that. Probably 08.
And then you started renting boats.
Yep. Yeah. And then we, a couple years later, got into boats, pontoons, and
Jet skis.
then jet skis, and then
You used to have snowmobiles too, right?
yeah, we did snowmobiles for a couple years, and we're planning on getting back into that in not this winter, but next winter. So
Yeah.
So if
just
anything,
need the snow.
if anything you rent, I would say snowmobiles is probably the most likely to be broken, thus probably carries the highest insurance premium.
yes, yep,
True.
you're correct there.
Because it doesn't take much on a snowmobile to break it.
Yeah, there's more money to be made and doing the repairs and whatnot and fixing stuff. So we were actually thinking, when we go into it the next time, coming up here, not this winter, but next winter, is to start with when you have new riders doing tours, so instead, so that'll
Yeah.
we in Florida we do jet ski tours. That's just the insurance company requires them to be tours. We can't turn them loose on the jet skis. We can let them free.
So
free
so
ride
by
and whatnot.
tour, it means you have basically somebody leading the pack and then keeping an eye on everybody. And do you have to have one at the very rear also, or just one in front as a tour?
Just one in front.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I mean, there's sandbars and shoals that are easy to run up on down in the Keys, and
Just like approaches and culverts around here.
yeah. Yeah.
Or that little tree stump that's cut off that you don't see in the snow.
Fence posts. And, yeah. So and then you got into doing vacation home rentals up here too.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. We just signed a new one up on Sylvia, so we're working on getting that one online here.
So how many places do you have in the area that you rent out?
There'll be 9 going into 2024.
That's awesome. And it's been just busy.
Yeah. Yep. The summers are really busy. We're probably maybe about half booked up for next summer.
So are all your rentals on Sylvia, or do you have on other lakes also?
We've got 2 on Clearwater, and then we've got 1 on Big Swan Lake, and then there'll be 6 on Sylvia.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't own the houses, right? You just line them up for the people.
Yep. Yeah. There's one that we.
So
do
if you own a
my
house,
wife
you could
and I own.
contact you and say, "Hey, can you rent out my house for me?"
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and we do have online booking available also.
I'm assuming that's for those who don't want to hassle with the VRBO and Airbnb systems.
Yeah. Yeah. So we like to call it one-stop shopping. So you can get your cabin and you can get your boat delivered dockside, kayaks, paddle boards, jet skis.
So they're renting the property from you, but then also the full experience of having everything there readily available.
Yes. Yep.
That's a pretty
fuel
fantastic
delivery. They
model.
need fuel. We run fuel out.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle just signed up with you on Clearwater last year
Oh, cool.
to rent out their You rent out their cabin now, so
Oh yeah, cool.
tours. So.
Yeah, awesome.
nice.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're pretty excited about the idea, and yeah, when they explained how it all works, I'm like, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, we make
'Cause-
it really easy for the owner, the property owner.
Yeah, I mean,
As easy
for
as
everybody
possible.
involved, you make it awesome for the person that owns the home because they're completely hands off, and then for the renter, exactly like you mentioned, hey, we're coming up from the cities. We don't have a boat, we don't have kayaks, we don't have a cabin. You got it all. So
And I'm assuming for the homeowner, they can choose dates to black out to where they can use it, and it's not an issue by any stretch.
Nope, not at all. So
They just can't do the big holidays because those are the ones that typically fetch the most money.
yeah, I mean, there's
They
some.
they can, but it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to because that's where you're getting at. Like 4th of July weekend and Labor Day weekend and Memorial weekend typically are going to have the highest rates because they're peak.
Yeah. Well, and some of our customers or the property owners, that's the only time they ever use their cabin is like 4th of July weekend. So they book that week and then rent it out.
I don't have that luxury. I don't have a lake house that I just need for a weekend.
Me either.
No, I got to use mine year round, otherwise I'd be homeless.
That's pretty neat. And so you started out just you renting fish houses, and then now you've really grown it into quite the thing. And then when did you join in? We're going to call you Josh. You're both Josh, but Lease.
It was last fall,
Okay.
2022, like August.
Cool.
So I came on to help with the marine side of things.
Yeah.
So we purchased a portion of Anchor Dock and Lift because they had a service of the boat transports, as we talked about earlier, as well as service. And so they wanted to get out of that. So we took that on.
Get out of which part? Both of those? The transport and the service, or which part?
What did you ask? I'm sorry.
So you purchased a portion of Anchor Dock and Lift. Was it the transport or the service or both
Both.
parts? Both
Yeah.
parts, okay.
Yep.
So do they not handle the storage? You guys do all their storage now?
We store the boats as well. Yep.
That's pretty neat. And so did you guys grow up together, or how did you know each other?
Gosh, we met. It's probably 2010. We both attended the same church, the Evangelical Free Church outside of town,
Yeah.
and so we became friends then, and yeah.
Now here you are.
So how much
Conquering the
convincing,
world.
Mr. Josh Grangroth, how much convincing did it take you to get Josh Lease on board with, hey, you want to go down to Florida every couple of weeks for me?
That part was pretty easy.
That couldn't have been too difficult.
Yeah. Yep. So we actually did a family vacation down there. Josh has 5 kids. I got 4 kids, and we took our families down there.
I hear 9 kids a boat full.
Yeah, we
9 kids, 4 adults,
Yeah, we made it work.
all the gear.
It was a full boat.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
So you guys vacationed together and then just started
We did
meshing
yeah.
a brainchild
And
together
it was
of
kind of a. Yeah, I wasn't even working for him yet. This was a year prior or so, and just that. Yeah, like you said, kind of a brainchild, like helping him kind of navigate and checking the places out, and because I think you had hired Jesse to run skis at that point. That was about it.
Yep.
So had
Yeah.
a few jet skis down, had a tour guide, and so it was pretty small at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
we-
location, just going to the landing, the boat launch every time you had a rental.
Yeah. So it's we got some good help. I'm really thankful and blessed for the help that we have. So down in the Keys, we got some solid guys down there, and I mean, it's hard to find good help, and it's pretty amazing with the good helpers I've been.
I would say finding good help anywhere is tough, but finding good help in a location like that that's so remote and has such a specific need for a skill set.
Yeah, housing is a big problem down in the Keys. 1 bedroom, studio is renting for $1,800 to $2,000 a month. So it's a challenge in the Keys for employees to find housing.
So do most of them stay in the Keys or do they come out of Miami?
No, so as far as my workers, 2 of them live on site at the resort.
Don't 3? Does Rich live there too?
Oh yeah, Rich does too. So we got Captain Dan. He lives in Big Pine Key, just down the road.
Captain Dan,
Yep.
I love that
And
name.
then we got Captain Rich, who's also a magician at the resort, and he does he specializes in
Multi-talents.
sunset cruises and lobstering. So he does a great job with the lobstering. But he lives at the resort too, And he's kind of got a deal going with the resort where he does these magic shows for the kids and stuff, so he can.
Also, actual like magic shows. So when
Yes.
you say magic, he's not like.
He's got a rabbit.
Okay,
And
all right.
Yeah.
Shows
up with
he's
a
a
rabbit.
magician.
So going to feed off of that just a little bit. Does Captain Dan get promoted to Lieutenant Dan at any point in time? You've seen Forrest
Funny-
Gump, I'm
Yeah,
assuming,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Funny you say that. So during our fall boat removals,
Yeah.
we had a retired deputy named Dan, and he was a lieutenant at one point. So we had Captain Dan and Lieutenant Dan both working at the same time.
Oh my
'Cause
gosh.
Dan came up to service some boats with us this fall, and so it was
That's funny.
kind of funny.
That's pretty wild. You know, it's pretty crazy to take it just from the fish houses to everything you're doing now. I mean, that's pretty wild, and daring to then say, hey, let's try also doing this on the other side of the country. So that
So at what point does the other side of the country turn into the other side of the world?
Oh boy, that's I mean, we're 2,000 miles away right now from our other location in the Keys, so I think that's far enough. You know? I don't think
We
need
may
go
have
any
to talk a
farther.
little bit more after the show.
Okay, all right, we'll do that.
that's funny.
Speaking of which, what's the future looking like for chartered rentals as a whole? Expanding more here, expanding more down there. Like, what is? Obviously, you went from something very, very small and turned it into something not quite as small, which tells me that there's going to always be room for growth. Where do you see you guys going from here?
You know, I mean, we've kind of looked at Sarasota a little bit, and then Charleston, South Carolina too.
Moving up the coast.
Yeah, so if any, a little bit closer, you know. But it's what we're seeing is customers are wanting to buy an experience. You know, it's all about buying experiences. You know, that's what they're. Maybe Josh can speak on that a little bit.
Yeah. So, as a lot of people know, boats are expensive. Those experiences are expensive. So we're trying to give people that opportunity to where they don't have to purchase something like that. They can experience that for a day or two every once in a while. So we are actually working with a company that we can lease products from and rent them out. You know, so like he was saying, the Charleston location. What are the numbers? Is it a $8 or $9 billion?
Yeah, Charleston has $9 billion of tourism revenue annually.
And that's about the same as the Keys. What does the Keys have?
Well,
like
the
12?
Keys is 3.4 billion.
So Charleston's that.
It's huge.
A lot of people are going to Charleston, and the numbers of like rental spots is very low. And so
So obviously the demand is high and the supply is low. So that's
There's a
prime,
hole.
prime market
Yeah.
to get into.
Yeah.
And to speak to your point of, you know, instead of owning the product and renting it, we did something similar. We used to have a camper for years, and we would go fairly frequently. A lot of times we bring it to softball tournaments because there's other families that would also come there with their campers. Well, they started selling them, so we weren't going as often. We're like, okay, we got this, how many thousands of dollars sitting here, maybe using it once or twice a year. So we opted to sell it, and now we just rent a camper a couple times a year. And
Right.
actually, I think only once a year when we go to Labor Day up in Grand Rapids. But kind of to your point, to us, it made a lot more sense to spend $300-400 for one weekend versus have tens of thousands of dollars sitting here.
right.
So you're kind of hitting on a good thought process for others to really consider of just rent it instead of buy it.
Yeah.
And also, if you break it, it's a lot less expensive than fixing your own. Just take out the extra insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so working with this company that we're working on putting some deals together would give us a lot of room to grow and expand more if we wanted to. One thing I'd like to look into is, which I should have an idea, but I don't know, maybe you know, Rick, how much tourism is within Wright County. You know, it'd be nice to know how many dollars are spent in Wright County.
I don't, but I'm sure I could find out. I know that there's some.
Sure, the state probably has numbers on that.
Well, there's. I actually had a text message right before our episode of recording started from somebody who's working with the travel bureau and other things in town here that I probably could get those figures pretty easily. They would know
Yeah.
But I think it's growing in Annandale. I mean, you look at
what it has to be.
yeah, I mean, look at what's happened with all the people trying to get out here, and then also our main street. You know, it's been not doing nothing but but expanding, and we're out of space now on Main Street. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So kind of like to your point of the tourism, for example, like anybody coming out of the cities, they're looking at one of four places. They're either looking here, Alexandria, the Brainerd area, or up in Duluth. The problem with Brainerd area is the drive. That drive from the cities up to Brainerd is atrocious on Thursday and Friday and coming back on Sunday. Alexandria isn't as bad, but it's a haul. That's where we kind of fit that need of not wanting to go quite so far. And we do have a ton of lakes in the area. I think there's 40 lakes within 10, 11 miles a year. So, I mean, our tourism definitely is going to be probably top 5 in the state, I would think. But just a speculation, of course, because I don't have the numbers.
Number 1 in my heart, though.
Yeah.
Of course. It's why we all live here.
Yeah. I actually, there was a gal from Eden Prairie that brought her canopy cover out, was it 2 days ago?
From Eden Prairie.
Yeah, no one else does it.
That's what I was saying.
She
It's such a
Googled
unique
it and
thing.
she
Like,
found us online. So
I've
she
never
checked
heard
it
of
out.
it, and we've had ours replaced once, and I've had to buy them, and like nobody's ever said, "Hey, bring it back and get it cleaned sometime."
Right. So she comes into our office and she's like, "Why do you live here?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Why do you live way out here?" Like, well, look what we've got. We got 30 lakes in the area. It's a beautiful place to be. And she just was like blown away. She was, obviously from the city's area, but like,
And see, I'm on the other front.
I hear that all the time.
I
Customers
grew up
tell
in
us
LA,
that.
and
Oh,
when I was living, I've had enough of living in that population. I want a little bit of elbow room, which living on a lake you don't have a whole lot, unfortunately, all the time. But just the general populace of having smaller, closer knit community is important to me and my family. Versus you might know 3 people on your block, and beyond that, you don't know many people. Right. And that's just how it is. And a lot of time in the big city, you're real close to your immediate neighbors, and that's it. As we're now, me and Matthew don't live anywhere near each other. Me and Josh don't. You, right. Josh, we don't either. But we've talked on occasion, and Josh and I have, and Matthew obviously has quite often now. But it's just a different feel when you live out in the middle of the sticks, as they call it. I'll take it any day of the
that's
week.
what she called it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why do you live out in the sticks?
I know our family and my dad's side, they're all in the cities, and they used to come out and they'd be like, "Oh my God, you guys are so far out here, it's so bad." And now almost all of them live out here, and it's like, look what happened. Yeah. And I hear my customers say it all the time. Oh, it's such a drive to get out here. Or when you tell them, I've learned that if your customer's calling from Minneapolis, and they ask, "Well, how far is it?" You can't tell them it's 50 miles or 40 miles or whatever. You have to tell them it's just an hour drive. Because if you try to go from Plymouth to St. Paul at rush hour, that's going to take you just as long as it is.
Yep. There's some truth to that.
Exactly.
So it's like you're fine spending the same amount of time going nowhere in the cities, or you could drive all the way here.
Right.
I always say that I'd rather take the long route as long as I'm moving the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So it is funny, but so yeah, and because of all the greatness out here, you guys are keeping busy.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I would say nothing short of thriving the way it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. Finding that niche that needs to be filled and conquering it has been pretty cool to hear about. So, and to be able to then not only take those skills that you learned here and then go to Florida and say, hey, let's apply it down here. So that's good job, you guys. That's pretty cool.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you guys wanted to mention? I know it's a tough question. For those who are listening, we don't script anything. We don't write anything down other than their names and what their business is. So we're just kind of going with the flow, and sometimes you come up with some blank air once in a while, and then I edit it out.
Right. Well, one thing I will add is that with the vacation rentals side of things, we've got nine vacation homes, got a fleet of jet skis as well as pontoons, and they're starting to book up right now, especially with Christmas. The families are getting together.
And they're like, hey, what are we doing this summer?
Yeah, like let's plan this family vacation, or maybe like that's a gift from the parents. Like, so it's a great idea to book early, and start that process now instead of waiting till May, April, and everything's booked. And
they're like, oh, well, it was a good idea.
Right.
So somebody looking
Just
to
go to
book.
the Holiday Inn.
So somebody looking to book. What is your website, Facebook, phone number? What's the best way of them getting a hold of you? And I'll take this and put it in the description also.
Yeah, so our website is www.chartered-ski.com. chartered-rentals.com. So that's chartered-rentals.com. And when you go to our site, there'll be it'll ask, a window will pop up to pick Minnesota or Florida. So you can click Minnesota to see all the cabins.
Choose wisely.
Yeah. So, or if you want to go
take
to
a look at
go to
both.
Florida, take a look at both. Definitely see some pictures of those fish we catch, and we got a bunch of YouTube videos on our Florida side of the website, snorkeling with some sharks on the reef and stuff. It's pretty cool.
And I followed along on your personal page. Obviously, we've been friends on Facebook forever. Do you have a Facebook for the charter rentals also, or do you just mainly use your personal Facebooks for that?
We do. It's Chartered Rentals Guide Service
Okay.
on Facebook. So
Okay. Well, if you guys nothing else, I have nothing else other than a quick little plug for those who are listening. We need some more guests. We would like to do this weekly. Currently, we do it bi-weekly because we don't have enough guests to fill the spots to do weekly. But if you have a business or just want to be on the show as whatever you want to call it, person of interest, community figure, whatever the case may be, reach out. We'd love to get you in here. Otherwise, gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming on.
yeah. Thank you guys for inviting us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You guys have a good one.
Yep.